Hello, I'm Toppy and welcome back to another brand new Apex Legends video. Today I'm bringing you another legend guide. I previously talked about the Bangalore legend in-game, but today I want to talk about Mirage, and in this video I'm going to talk about all of his abilities, the best ways you should use these and a few tips for them, and then I'll move on to give you a few tips on how to use him generally so you can get the most kills and the most wins whilst playing with him in-game. So, getting straight into it, Mirage's passive ability is called Encore. What Encore does is when you knocked, it releases a decoy, which will be released for 5 seconds, distract the enemies, and you'll also be cloaked so you can crawl away a little distance away from the enemies, so hopefully you can be revived a little bit easier and you won't be completely knocked, so you can get back into the fight straight away. This can be quite an effective ability, but your teammates do have to move pretty quickly and be pretty close to you, because that decoy does only last for 5 seconds and your cloak only lasts for 5 seconds, and you can't really get that far away from the enemies. So they have to be pretty much right on top of you so they can trade those kills and revive you before the enemies can finish you. As Mirage is an assault legend, I think a different passive ability could be a little bit better suited to this character, mainly because it just relies on you being knocked, so it doesn't really come into that much use, because it's something you'd more expect from a support role instead of an assault role. With an assault role you don't really want to be going down that much, you want to be getting those really quick kills. With an assault role you more likely want to be going down and using this passive ability to distract the enemies, running in, just getting some heavy damage on, so then your assault players can come in and clean them up. But it does still work alright with an assault character, because you can be rushing in there, getting those kills, as long as you have those other players with you to get you up. Once you have done that big damage and got those few kills, then they can trade those final kills and revive you before you do fully die. So it can be pretty useful and does come in handy when you are playing really closely with all your teammates. If you are running off on your own, it is pretty much pointless, because you will be on the floor, and in those 5 seconds no one can come and revive you, and you will end up getting finished and no one will be able to pick you up. But it does allow you to be a little bit more aggressive with a higher chance of being able to get revived. Moving on to Mirage's tactical abilities, tactical ability is called Psyche Out. What Psyche Out allows you to do is it sends out a decoy to confuse the enemies. This can be really useful in 2 different ways. You can use it for attacking enemies, or you can use it when you need to defend yourself, so you pick where you want the decoy to go to, and this is really useful because you can direct it towards the enemies, or you can direct it away from yourself. When you know an enemy is nearby, you can use it to draw them out. You can send it towards them, wait for it to draw the fire out, and you can run in whilst they're reloading, or working out where you are, and you can shoot them with your teammates. It works really well if you do your full team together for this, so you can draw out either one enemy or the full squad towards your decoy. You can get those kills whilst they are easily distracted. Or you can use it to draw the fire away from yourself. You can use it in a different direction when you are getting fired at, and it might give you just enough time to get to cover and get healed up before you can fight them properly. Or when you are out in the open, like when you want to go and respawn your teammate on a respawn beacon, you can send this out ahead of you. It might draw the fire from the enemies who are nearby if there are any around, and it should hopefully just clear the area. If they do see it decoy, they probably will shoot at it thinking it is you. You'll know some enemies are there and you can fight them before running out into the open, where you would have probably died or taken a lot of damage. And this ability only takes 15 seconds to recharge, so you can use it loads just to work out where enemies are really easily and draw their fire so you can get away. And finally, Mirage's ultimate ability is called Vanishing Act. Vanishing Act sends out a team of decoys in different directions to distract the enemies and also cloaks you so you can get away. This works really well for defensive or offensive, just like the other ability did. When you're using defensively, you can pop it to draw away the enemy's fire so you can get into cover and not die and win those gunfights against a full team of enemies. Or you can use it aggressively by sending your decoys into a building like you would do with Psyche Out. Send them all in, and whilst you are invisible, push in behind them, get into the building and kill the enemies when they don't know where you are. This works quite a bit like Wraith's ability, so allows you to be super aggressive while staying alive, getting into that building. Once you are in there, you can lose the enemies pretty easily. But that is all of Mirage's abilities and the best ways to use them, so now I'm going to move on to my best tips how to use it generally in game. So obviously Mirage is an assault legend, so you want to be using it pretty quickly, pushing in to get those kills and using those abilities. Even though they don't do much damage, you can use them pretty supportively to help you get more kills and to help your whole squad get more kills by distracting the enemies and using them to push up towards them. So even though this is an assault legend, you can use it in a bit more supportive way than you can with the other assault legends, just because the abilities suit it a little bit better, so you can take it a little bit slower and use your abilities like that if you want to. But you can also play as fast as you would with Wraith, pushing in and using those abilities to cover yourself and your teammates. Something that's really useful to note is that you can use your tactical ability whilst you are flying in. This is useful when there are loads of enemies dropping around you. You can call this in, make the enemies think there's more players landing there than there actually is, and maybe they might change location. Or it can just make them a little bit more nervous, make them not push loot quite so quickly so you can get that good loot first and kill them. Like I said before, because you can play this character quite supportively, you might want to play a little bit slower, and with Mirage you might want to play a sniper and an assault rifle instead of how you would with Wraith or Bangalore, where you probably want to run an SMG or a shotgun. You can play those longer ranged weapons because you can use your abilities at further ranges, because all you do is distract the enemies, so it can work at close range or at long range, unlike how Bangalore and Wraith would. And finally, when you are playing as Mirage, make sure you are sticking super close to your teammates, just because those abilities are really important to be really close to your team. With other legends you can run off a little bit and use those abilities more on your own, but it is really important to stay close to your team, especially for that passive one, because if you aren't close to your teammates it's completely pointless having, because 5 seconds isn't a big window, so your teammates need to be right next to you so they can make the most of it. And also the other 2 abilities are really useful when the other teammates are with you, just because you can distract the enemies from all of you at the same time, instead of just being yourself. You can all move up together and get those kills easily. But that's been my full guide for the Mirage character in Apex Legends. If this video has been helpful, then please make sure to leave it a like. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to see more videos just like this, including loads of Apex Legends character guides, weapon guides and other tutorials. And if you want any help with the Bangalore legend, that is the other video which I have up so far, make sure you check that one out, it's linked on the screen now, and I will be covering every single legend in the game, so make sure you are subscribing for that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.